What is up, guys? In this video, I'm uploading my speech from Affiliate World Dubai this year, where I'll break down on stage how to use advertorials in combination with Google Ads. Now, if you're already using advertorials on other platforms or you think about starting to use them, this video is for you. I'll explain to you specifically why you should use them in combination with Google Ads, what makes this combination so special, how to start using them, and I'll also give you a real-life example so you know what to expect. So, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to answer them. Cheers, guys.
All right, what's happening in Dubai, guys? So excited to be here today and to talk to you about a subject that I've personally been raving for the past 2 years, and that is advertorials in combination with Google Ads. Why it is a superpower for your business and why you should start using them ASAP. Now, before we get started, let's define advertorials for those of you who don't know. Advertorials are a type of landing page that mimic the editorial style, a journalist or an expert giving an unbiased, neutral opinion about your product relating to a problem someone may have and taking them all across the journey from problem aware to solution, product, and then ultimately to buy. Now, another type of landing page that is often associated with advertorials is listicles. It's technically not an advertorial, but very similar. So for the sake of this talk, we'll include it. And what listicles are basically comparison sites, right? Comparing different products, my affiliates know, or even 3 ways to achieve X, or 5 reasons why you should do whatever. So this is the type of asset that we're speaking about today. And you may ask, why should you go through the hassle of creating such complicated landing pages, right? Why shouldn't you just go and run traffic to your standard PDP? And the answer to that lies in the awareness stages that we're all familiar with. You see, most advertisers run traffic here in the most aware section, right? And naturally, this is where you would expect the highest conversion and the highest profitability, because this is where people are looking for very specific solutions, right? Think buy t-shirt online, like people are literally just about to make the purchase. Now, naturally, you would expect this to be the highest converting element, and that's why everyone is advertising there, right? You have the highest competition, you have the highest CPC, and you've got relatively small audience size. So, what has happened over the years is that this part of Google search has become so bloody competitive that it's very, very difficult to actually make a buck. I bet many of you have actually run searches in the past, and they probably worked, they probably converted, but they weren't profitable. And that is exactly because of this reason. Overall, you can say that this part of funnel has become a very red ocean, making it difficult to be profitable. Now, what I want you to do instead is to focus on this section, the problem-aware section of the funnel, where people haven't made up their mind yet, right? Where they're still looking to solve a problem. This, in contrast to most aware, is a lot more of a blue ocean environment. Why? Because people don't advertise there traditionally. Problem-aware traffic will not convert as well on your PDP as most aware traffic, because this person does not have a solution in mind, does not have a product in mind. They're simply looking to solve a problem. And this is where advertorials shine, and they enjoy lower competition, lower CPCs, and much, much larger audience sizes, right? And that's why I would call this a much more blue ocean environment. Now, question is, why should you use advertorials in combination with Google Ads? Why don't you just run Meta towards it, right? Okay, there's a slide missing, whatever, doesn't matter. Here we go. Now, why should you run Google Ads on advertorials? What makes Google so special? And the point is, even if you got a crushing advertorial on Meta, you still have the same Achilles heel that you always have with Meta, and that is bloody creative fatigue. Meaning, if your creatives stop working, so will your advertorials, right? And that is just an extreme weakness that we can counter with Google because there's no creatives involved. We're talking search campaigns, right? So keyword to landing page, done. If it converts, there's zero risk of creative fatigue or anything like that happening. And ultimately, what that means for you is that your advertorial campaigns, they will work for longer, they will be more profitable because the lower CPC, and they will build a massive moat around your business because they're not easy to crack. Now, another reason why I love using advertorials in combination with Google Ads is the stability aspect. Now, if we examine this search query, for example, how to reduce wrinkles, this is a very universal search query. People in the 2000s were looking for that, and people in the 1990s and 1980s were having this problem. Probably the same amount of people like today, meaning that it's extremely stable and it's the counter opposite of creative fatigue. If this works, it will work for a very long time. As opposed to very bottom funnel queries like a product that's currently in hype, whatever, that might go up and down. But people's problems, they will always remain very, very stable. So if you're able to crack this query, it will work for a very long time. Now, another reason, and I want you to zoom out here a little bit, is just think about the bigger implications of your business, right? With advertorials, we're talking about profitable new customer acquisition, right? We're not talking about retargeting, we're not talking about anything. We're talking about getting stone cold traffic into your funnel and converting. And every advertorial that you crush, that you get to work and you're able to convert it, adds a new baseline of profitable new customers you generate every month, right? So 2 advertorials, 3 advertorials, as you go on, you increase the amount of profitable new customers in your business. And that, as we all know, plays a major role in your valuation, meaning that getting 4, 5, 6 advertorials that are really smashing can have a big impact on a potential future exit and generally your enterprise value. Now, bottom line as to why you should use advertorials is simply they generate more profit, they bring more stability in your business, and ultimately, they bring more enterprise value into your business. Moving on to the how. How should you use advertorials? How do you go about starting to use them? Step number 1 for you is to understand what makes people buy your products. What are your winners on Meta, right? What are the top performers? And what you want to do is simply analyze them. Simply take a look at the angle, understand what we're talking about, who we're addressing, what is the problem, what's the benefit, what's the solution, and break that down on keyword level, right? For example, here, we have a creative of a woman in her 30s, before and after, right? Before she had more wrinkles, after she has less. So that can be very easily summarized into the keyword, how to reduce wrinkles in your 30s. And there is search volume for that, which brings us to step number 2, validating it. Now, you've got your big keyword pile, you've taken all your winners from Meta, you've analyzed them, 20, 40, 50 keywords, whatever. You need to understand which one of these keywords is actually being searched for and whether it can be profitable. And in order to do this, we use a tool called the Keyword Planner. It's a free tool by Google that tells you exactly how many times something is being searched, and it tells you how much it costs, right? So, extremely valuable resource. And what you're looking for with your keywords is you want to make sure they have at least 200 searches per month, and you want the average CPC to be around max 5% of your AOV, so you're still able to be profitable. Later stages, you can even target more niche stuff that can be very, very interesting, but for the sake of this presentation, we'll just use the 200. Now, next step is actually building the advertorial. This is perhaps the most difficult part, and I know many of you have not built advertorials before, thinking, okay, how can I outsource this? How do I find an agency or provider for this? I would, however, recommend for you to own this process. And the reason for that is that advertorials are extremely simple from the development perspective. They're very, very simple landing pages. There's not a lot of magic going into it. Even the images, some of the crushing advertorials have butt ugly pictures, right? There's no magic in the pictures or the actual development. All the source, all the magic of advertorials is in the copy, okay? That is the main part. That is the main part that takes the user from, hey, I got this problem, I got these wrinkles, all right, Jennifer also had wrinkles, she solved it with product X, here are 3 ways, maybe I should buy it. And given that copy is the most important part of the advertorial, who can do a better copy than yourself or the copywriter that you trust? So I highly recommend own this process, block a week or 2, roll up your sleeves, and get on top of it. Now, step number 4 is to actually go ahead and test these advertorials and see which one of them has potential. And I recommend a very simple testing structure for this, right? We don't need to make it complicated. All you need is 1 campaign per advertorial, every campaign should have 4 ad groups that test different themes. You want to have about 4,000 testing budget for US, and you want to set the CPC at about 70% of the upper range so you're competitive and you're ranking high, right? And within the first few days of running this campaign, one crucial thing is to actually do a lot of negative filtering. You want to filter out the queries that are not relevant. Now, you do this until you reach about 100 clicks per keyword. This is the sample size that is relevant for you. And for Advertorials, remember, we're not trying to get some next dead campaign. We're trying to create bangers here, okay? So unless it's got a conversion rate of 3%, it's probably not going to be a winner. That is what you're looking for. 3% conversion rate, you either scale that within the same campaign or you isolate it and you scale it in a separate campaign until you reach an impression share, maybe 60, 70%, until you max it out, okay? If you've got a conversion rate of 2 to 3%, that's something you want to observe. You don't know where it's going yet. Is it going closer to 3? Is it going more towards 1.8? We'll see. So that one, you observe. And anything below 2%, unless the profitability is really, really strong, you may want to kill that keyword because, again, we're here to create bangers and not average ads, right? So this process is to be rinsed and repeat many, many times until you reach the following outcome, which is 4 to 8 crushing advertorials, right? Don't stop at 1. Keep going until you reach at least 4 advertorials with a conversion rate of at least 5%. Now, I know what many of you are thinking, sounds like a lot of work, whatever success rate, 50, 30, 25%, I'm going to have to test 16 advertorials to do this. You probably do. But again, just think about the applications that it has for your business. 4, 5 campaigns that generate 30, 50, 100 profitable new customers a day, that can be truly life-changing for a business. So I encourage you to dedicate that money, dedicate the resources, because it will truly be worth it. Now, moving on to a case study, we explained the why, we explained the how. Let me tell you about a case that we leveraged to crush with a brand and Advertorials, and it actually has an unexpected twist. 2023, we got approached by a very well-known 8-figure skincare brand. And obviously, the first thing that we did is always checking, okay, what's working for these guys, right? Meta was smashing it. Native was really strong. And Google, as so often, was a bit weaker with just some PMAX brand campaigns running, whatever. Nothing special, nothing really making any difference. So we checked the offer thoroughly, and one thing that we noticed with this company was that their offering was significantly more expensive than their competitors. I'm talking 30% more expensive than the next guy. Now, what that means for us is that it makes 0 sense trying to scale this brand with PMAX and shopping, what a lot of Google Ads agencies do, right? Because Google Shopping is primarily a price comparison. You can see a price, you can see a picture, and you can see a title. There's 0 direct response, 0 copy, 0 convincing, 0 offer. Price, picture, done. So, anytime you deal with a brand, or yourself, you are a brand that has a higher price, do not just solely focus on PMAX, especially if you have an offer that requires education, such as skincare, beauty, supplements, etc. So, when we figured that out, we immediately knew that this would be a prime case for Advertorials and that we would have to focus on it. And that's exactly what we did. We took all the information from the brand, checked every advertising channel, every winning creative, and every landing page, and we turned it all into a big, beautiful keyword pile. From that, we ran our standard process of validating the keywords, building the campaigns, and we were ready to go with 4 advertorials that we were absolutely certain would crush. Now, when we actually launched the campaign, something very unexpected happened, and that is that every single advertorial failed. Not one of them was able to generate profitable new customers, and it had abysmal conversion rates, 0.2%, 0.4%. We could do nothing. And in the beginning, we actually panicked, just like Mr. Krabs over there, just poured more budget, tried fixing things, changing keywords, changing ads, whatever, but nothing was working. And we realized, okay, hold up, we missed something here. Let us go back to the drawing board and let's check out what we actually missed. So, went back through all the advertising channels, spoke to the brand, and this time around, we made one crucial difference. We didn't just check the creatives and the landing pages that worked. This time round, we actually went into the CRM of the brand. And we paid attention to, okay, not just what converts, who's the person behind the click, right? Age, gender, demographic, rural population, city population, who's actually buying these products. And when we did that, we found one anomaly, something that we didn't expect. And that is that a lot of the first purchases were made by men, right? And this product was clearly geared towards females. So we looked a bit further, we looked into the reviews, and we looked into the customer support, and we figured out that there was a sizable portion of boyfriends getting this skincare product for their girlfriends. And when we looked into the reviews, we could even see a story like people were saying, hey, my girlfriend's been suffering from this and that condition, this cream made it better, and this is the moment where we had an idea. We said, hold up, maybe we got an angle here, maybe we can work with this. So we spoke to the brand, reached out to a few of these guys that had bought the products, and actually got one of them to do an interview with the brand, right? And in this interview, we really dug deep into the story. Hey, how did it make you feel? How long has your girlfriend been having this issue? How did it make you feel? What was the first thing you tried? What was the second thing you tried? Went really, really deep into the story, and he agreed that we can turn that into an advertorial, which is exactly what we did. We took that input and we turned it into a story-based advertorial that would go through the whole story, and it'd be from his perspective. It wouldn't be from the woman's perspective, right? There's a big difference. Usually advertorials are always geared towards the person the product is for. This wasn't for the person that the product is for. This was for the person who's buying the product. So, went from his perspective, how it made him feel seeing his girlfriend suffering, what they had tried, all these types of things were covered, and it was a very nice and long structure going from a story format down to a listicle with 3 reasons why this product helps with this particular condition. Now, we were going towards the end of that project. We had about 3 weeks left of the POC, and we put all our money on that one card. We had nothing left, right? That was the only thing we had, but luckily, this turned out to be a massive Uno reverse card for the project because this advertorial absolutely crushed with a conversion rate of 6%, 230% ROAS, and generating over 50 sales per day. An absolute home run of a campaign that is still working until this day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us back to a very fundamental truth about marketing. We hear advertorials, listicles, VSLs, UGC, new formats, new things that we can all do. But truthfully, marketing is not about a new format or a new shiny object. It is always about the person behind the click. It's about who converts. So whenever we test new formats, be that advertorials or anything else, we should always bear that in mind, and we should always personalize what we're doing to the people who are actually buying, because that is how you get banger conversion rates, when you're really talking to the person and you're not just selling your product. And as we're wrapping up, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give you one final piece of advice, and that is don't sleep on advertorials, because the blue ocean that I showed you earlier is turning more red by the day. In this audience right now, we have 3-4 people that I spoke to yesterday that want to start doing advertorials. And it's not just small D2C brands, it's corporates and bigger companies jumping on. So do not sleep on this opportunity. Get in early and thank me later. And to make it even easier for you to get started with advertorials, I've prepared a little freebie for you, which is 30 crushing advertorials, all summarized in a swipe file that you can access and use as inspiration for your first advertorials, and a 2-hour guide on how to create them that I've recorded myself. All you have to do is scan this QR code, drop me a follow on Instagram, DM me the word advertorial, and I'll send it to you right after the speech. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my side, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to answer any questions you have. Hope you enjoy your time here in Dubai, and thank you very much.